All right, so, picture this. You've got this, like, awesome watch party all set for the FA Cup. Arsenal versus Man U, right? And you want to, be the one, everyone's looking for the inside scoop, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, we've been digging through match previews, predicted lineups, even some of those, like, crazy transfer rumors.
Yeah.
The juicy stuff swirling around both clubs.
So yeah, we're gonna give you that deep dive into everything you need to know about this match, tactical battles, maybe some surprises, and hey, you might even walk away with a controversial take or two to, spice up the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's get real for a sec. All right, it's the FA Cup third round, so, okay, it's not the final. But, things are getting serious, Both Arsenal and Man U, they had those kind of rough results in the EFL Cup semi, so this match, it's more than just a game at this point,
Yeah, it's definitely about momentum now, and of course you can never forget the history between these two clubs, right? Every single match, it's like a battle for bragging rights.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And right now, if you're looking at the odds, Arsenal's the favorite. I mean, they're at the top of the Premier League, plus they've got home advantage. But Man U, they just managed to pull off a draw against Liverpool, so you can't count them out, right?
Not at all. I mean, that draw with Liverpool, it shows they can step up, especially against those top teams.
Okay, so one of the things everyone's talking about is Gabriel Jesus potentially coming back for Arsenal. He's been out with that injury, but some of the previews are saying he might be back, and get this, maybe on the right wing, which is kind of crazy because, well, before the injury, he was like their star striker.
Yeah. Right, and that's what makes it so interesting, tactically speaking. It could be Arteta's way of, easing him back in without messing up the flow they've got going. But then again, think about it. You put Jesus on the wing, and suddenly you've got this, like, powerhouse attack with him, Havertz, and Martinelli. It's a gamble, it could be genius or it could backfire.
Totally. And, I mean, how's Man U's defense going to handle that kind of, like, firepower? Especially if Jesus gets back to scoring goals, from that new position. But speaking of surprises, did you see this? Neto, Arsenal's backup goalkeeper, he might actually make his debut.
Right.
He's been on loan from Bournemouth, cup-tied, basically just, like, sitting on the bench.
Yeah. Starting him in a match like this, it's a risk for sure. I mean, Neto's good, he's talented, but he doesn't have a ton of experience at this level. It makes you wonder if maybe Arteta's got his eyes on other competitions, or maybe he's underestimating Man U. What do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely a bold move. Okay, so let's switch gears for a sec. Man U, there's like a lot of question marks around Marcus Rashford right now. Some reports say he's sick. Others are hinting he might be leaving the club altogether.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery, isn't it? There's talk that his people have been talking to AC Milan, so if he goes, I mean, that's a huge loss for Man U offensively. But then again, maybe it opens up space for them to bring in someone new, like, Brian Mbeumo from Brentford. He's been on their radar.
Right, Mbeumo, he's been on fire this season. I mean, scoring a ton of goals, mostly from the wing.
Yeah. 9 goals in his last 15 appearances. He's exactly the kind of player Man U needs up front, especially if Rashford leaves.
And get this, both Arsenal and Man U are, like, interested in signing him.
Right. So basically, it's like they're both trying out for Mbeumo in this match. How they perform, it could actually sway his decision.
Whoa, talk about pressure. Okay, so we've got potential tactical changes, transfer drama, a scouting mission, and all in one match.
Oh, and we can't forget Man U's their weakness this season, set pieces. Defending them, it hasn't been their strong suit. Which is, it's not good news for them because Arsenal, they're known for scoring off those corners and free kicks.
Exactly. Like, Arsenal has scored 15 goals off set pieces this season. That's the most in the league. And Man U, well, they've let in 10, which is a bit of a red flag.
It is. And remember when these teams played last, Arsenal won because of, 2 goals from set pieces. It was a big factor in that win.
Yeah, but that was like a couple of months ago. So the question is, has Man U's manager, Amarim, figured out how to fix that set piece issue? Or is it going to be their downfall again? It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
For sure. It's a tactical battle. If Man U can tighten up their defense and avoid conceding goals from those situations, they have a shot at pulling off the upset.
Totally. Okay, so before we get into the predicted lineups, I got to ask you, we're talking about Jesus maybe moving to the wing. What kind of, like, tactical impact could that have on Arsenal's, overall game?
Well, it's different from what they usually do, but it could be a really smart move by Arteta. You know, by putting Jesus on the wing, he can keep that strong partnership in the middle with Havertz and Odegaard, but then he's also adding Jesus' speed and creativity out wide, which could really stretch Man U's defense, you know, and create space for those overlapping runs from the fullbacks. Plus, it could overload Man U's wingers, give Arsenal more options in their attack, you know, make them less predictable.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sounds like it could give them an edge, but it also depends on how well Jesus, adjusts to this new role.
Yeah.
And if he can get back in form after the injury.
Exactly. There are a lot of ifs, but the potential is definitely there.
Right. So we've covered a lot. The stakes, Jesus coming back, the whole Rashford situation, the Mbuemo thing, and of course, Man U set piece struggles.
It's shaping up to be a really interesting match. Lots of tactical intrigue and potential surprises.
Totally. Okay, so now let's get down to the nitty gritty and break down those predicted lineups. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. All right, so we're back, and you know what time it is. Time to dive into those predicted lineups. I'm really curious to see how these potential starting 11s could impact the match.
Yeah, me too. Let's start with Arsenal. Sports Mole is predicting that Arteta will go with Raya in goal, which I mean makes sense. He's been solid this season.
Right, and in front of him, they're saying a back four of Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, and Calafiori. That's a pretty strong back line. They've been pretty reliable for Arsenal.
Yeah, definitely. That defensive unit, they've been a big part of Arsenal's success. They've built a really strong foundation for their attacks.
Okay, so moving into the midfield, Sports Mall has Odegaard, Rice, and Merino. Looks like Partey might be getting a little rest for this one.
Yeah, and Merino, he's a quality player, great passing, good vision, but he's not really known for his defense, which is what Partey brings to the table. So it'll be interesting to see how this change affects Arsenal. How they build up their attacks and if they can control the midfield. What do you think? Think they might be a bit vulnerable to Man U's counterattacks?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Merino, he could leave some space, and if Man U can exploit that, especially that space Partey usually covers.
Yeah,
that could be trouble. Okay, but now for the part we've all been waiting for, the attack. Sports Wooly is saying Jesus on the right wing, Havertz up top, and Martinelli on the left.
Yeah, I mean, come on, that's a dangerous front three. Pace, creativity, they can score goals. But like we were saying, the big question is, how's Jesus going to do on the wing? He's a striker, so it'll be interesting to see how he adapts and if he can, get back to scoring goals.
Yeah, for sure. It's a gamble by Arteta, but it could really pay off. Okay, so let's see what Man U is bringing to the table. They're going with Onana in goal. No surprise there.
Nope. Onana, he's been really reliable for them. Sportsmall is predicting a back three of De Ligt, Maguire, and Martinez.
Yeah, that's a decent back three, but they have shown some weaknesses this season, especially defending set pieces.
Oh, absolutely. And with Arsenal being so good at set pieces, that could be a real problem for Man U. They're gonna have to be on point, really disciplined and organized when they're defending those corners and free kicks.
Yeah, any little mistake, and that could be a goal for Arsenal. Okay, so moving on, for the wing backs, Sportsmole has Mazraoui and Dalot, and then in the midfield, Ugarte and Manu.
That's a young midfield, lots of energy, but not a lot of experience in these big matches. They're gonna have to really step up against Arsenal's midfield.
Okay, and now for the attack, Sportsmole is saying Diallo, Fernandes, and Højlund. Wait a minute, no Rashford?
Looks like those transfer rumors might be true. Maybe Amorim's maybe he's already thinking about a future without Rashford, giving Diallo a chance to lead the attack.
Wow, that's a big move, especially for a match this important. I mean, Diallo did score that equalizer against Liverpool, so we know he's got potential, but can he do it consistently? Can he deliver against a team like Arsenal?
That's the $1 million question. It's a huge opportunity for Diallo, but it's also a big risk for Amorim, putting so much faith in a young player for a match like this.
Yeah, no doubt. It definitely adds another layer to this whole thing. All right, so we've got those predicted lineups, and it looks like both sides have some surprises and maybe some weaknesses too.
Yeah, it seems like both managers are willing to take some risks, but I mean that's what makes the FA Cup so great. You know, it's all about who can make their plan work and who can take advantage of their opponent's mistakes.
Exactly. This is going to be like a chess match.
Mm-hmm.
You know, both teams trying to outsmart each other.
And with that whole Embuemo thing hanging over their heads, there's going to be even more pressure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Before we move on to our predictions, I wanted to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about Man U and their struggles with set pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like what do they need to do to improve their defense in those situations?
Well, the main thing for Man U is they got to be more organized, more disciplined when they're defending those set pieces.
Hmm.
You know, they need to be clear about who's marking who, make sure everyone knows who they're covering, and they got to be more aggressive about clearing the ball out of the box. You know, they can't give Arsenal second chances.
So it's about being more organized, communicating better, and just being more aggressive in the box.
Exactly. And they got to watch out for Arsenal's routines. You know, Arsenal is they're really good at confusing the defense, finding those gaps in the box. So Man U has got to be ready for that. Sounds like Emirates has got a lot of work to do. All right, so now for the part everyone's been waiting for, our predictions. We'll be right back after this quick break. All right, so we're back, and I think we've really gotten into the nitty gritty here. We've looked at the lineups, talked about those key matchups, and even that whole Embuemo thing. But now it's prediction time, right? And this one feels tough. You know, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a tricky one for sure. Both teams they've got their strengths, they've got their weaknesses, and there's just like so many things that could affect the outcome. Arsenal, I mean, their attack looks really strong, especially with Jesus maybe coming back, but then you've got Neto in goal, and that's a bit of a a question mark. And Man U, I mean, yeah, they're the underdogs, but that draw against Liverpool, that shows they can definitely step up.
Right, and like we said, Man U, they've got that weakness with set pieces, and Arsenal, they could really take advantage of that. But then again, if Man U can shut down those set pieces, and Diallo, if he steps up, especially if Rashford isn't there, they could pull off an upset.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, it could go either way, which is what makes it so so exciting. But if I had to put money on it, I think I'd give Arsenal a slight edge. I think Arteta's, his tactics, that whole thing with Jesus on the wing, that could really cause some problems for Man U's defense.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It'll be interesting to see how Jesus does out there. I'm kind of leaning towards a draw.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling Man U's going to be extra motivated to prove everyone wrong, and Arsenal, well, with Jesus coming back and Neto making his debut, they might need a little time to to get back in sync. So yeah, a draw wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, that's definitely possible too. Draws, they happen a lot in the FA Cup, especially early on. The pressure's on, and sometimes both teams, they're just happy to avoid a loss and get to a replay.
Exactly, but I think no matter what the score is, this match, it could be a turning point for both of these teams. A good performance, it could really boost their confidence, set the tone for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree. If Arsenal wins, that just makes them an even bigger threat, shows they're serious about winning trophies. And for Man U, a good result, that could be like a jump start, get them back on track. Plus, there's the whole, Embuemo thing.
Right. It's like they're both trying to impress him.
Yeah.
Just adds another layer to all of this. So I think we've given you a pretty good deep dive into this match, all the key things to watch for, the tactics, the potential surprises, all that.
Yeah, we've covered the lineups, talked about their strengths and weaknesses, even gave you our predictions, even though, it's a tough one to call.
So now it's your turn, right? Go out there, impress your friends with all this knowledge, watch the match and really understand what's going on. Who do you think is going to win? Let us know. And until next time, enjoy the match.